We're back, and we have Jodi with us today. We're going to be talking about business marketing and when to invest in marketing, how to invest in marketing. We're going to kind of go over a few different topics and subjects and give some insight, give some recommendations, things that we see from businesses coming through to us, and hopefully, just deliver some value and just speak about off the cusp things, cuff things, as you were pulling me for earlier and letting me know about.
You say it a lot.
It's my Englishness coming out.
It's your what?
It's my Englishness coming out. Great. So what we want to talk about is the market at the moment. So the market's been, for a lot of businesses, very difficult. Not every business is in the same position that it was a year, 2 years, 3 years ago. COVID was an absolute boom for a lot of businesses. So the economy has definitely slowed down. We know this. The businesses don't have the same sort of capital behind them or the cash flow of what they previously had. And what we see happen is we go from this peak of leads, acquisition, inquiries coming through the business, and then all of a sudden that tap stops. And you get this reaction of, I need to market. And that is difficult sometimes for an agency, because I know you look at an agency and you go, well, you're a marketing agency, you just market things and then you make more leads, right? But, marketing isn't about turn a tap on, turn a tap off. It's about a compounding investment into your business. And that is where I think a lot of people look at marketing and don't necessarily understand when to invest, how they should invest, and what's the right time, as opposed to more leaning on it as a reactive measure.
I love that distinction that you made about that understanding of marketing, because we do get that a lot, and I think there is a misconception there, and you've said it in the past before, and it's something that I repeat regularly to clients. I'm in sort of a client-facing sales role myself, and it's, if it were easy, everyone would be doing it.
Yep.
If there were a profitable recipe straight out the gates, everyone would be doing it.
Yeah.
And I do believe that it is not short-sighted in that people do it intentionally, but people freak out. And when there was a stat that you mentioned recently from a report that came out about marketing being basically the first expense to be cut, because there's less risk involved with it than, say, cutting human resources.
Yeah.
And it's such a shame and such a disservice to the efforts that they've put in up until that point. Because when you pause a campaign, like say Google Ads, my understanding is that you can potentially lose some data, and then to get that momentum back again takes some more learning, it takes some more time, and so it's almost like you're starting from scratch to some degree. So if there is a way that you can find the resource to continue with those campaigns, our experience in the PPC department, from what I've been told, is that you have that momentum that keeps going. There's less of a loss in the long term.
Yeah, definitely. And it is about momentum, I think. In any form of marketing, it's about momentum and that continuation of investment. We do see, ebbs and flows and dips, depending on which service you're in and how much you're investing and so on. But as a collective, when you invest into your marketing, if it's going really well, it's not something that then you go, oh, I've got a bunch of leads, I don't really know if I don't need any more marketing. I just turn all the marketing off and save myself a buck. When then it turns around and gets quiet and you start hitting something like we have experienced over the last 12 months, where you do see a slight economic downturn, not just in Australia, but the US and the UK and everywhere else in between, those leads are no longer coming through. And then it's, oh, well, I just turn my marketing back on. And it doesn't instantly then generate that return.
No.
You have to, again, start then building that momentum back up.
Yep.
And I think it's kind of this preconceived idea that if I turn on Google Ads tomorrow, that I put $1 in, I get $2 out. Most campaigns, plus of 90% of campaigns, won't return in the first month. Because there's so many factors involved. So it is about that compounding effect of, when things are getting quiet and people then just react with the last $5,000 in their bank account to try and make a return, that's a bad position to be for business.
100%. To me, marketing is future-proofing your business.
Yeah.
To me, it's not about the leads that are coming in the inbox today or the phone that's ringing today. To me, it's about the next 6 months, 12 months, 5 years. And the problem that we find when people come in the door after having either taken a break or potentially having started a business in COVID when there was so much cash around and now all of a sudden we're in a recession or an economic downturn, is there's so much more riding on it. So there's an elevated level of panic.
Yeah.
And there's no almost emotional capacity to deal with the fact that in the first potentially 1 to 2 months you're going to make a loss, let alone the cash to back that up. So then you're in what you might view as a lose-lose situation. Whereas if you'd had consistently just chipped away in the background, slowly found the resource, just do what you needed to do to keep that going when times get tough, your brand awareness will still be there, so that when there are the leads that are floating around, they'll remember you, and B, you haven't lost all that time. As well as now future-proofing for future economic downturns or just in 6 to 12 months' time. I know for us as an agency, when the leads are coming in thick and fast, you know me, I never want to say no to business. So we either implement things like lead times or we build the team out and we do what we need to do in order to be able to facilitate their business. The last thing we want to do is take our foot off the gas. Because, again, it's that we don't plan for the future because it's not all, there's ebbs and flows.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's key in if you are investing in a particular channel or if you're investing in a particular marketing campaign for your business and it's doing really, really well, is not to one, turn that off, and then two, look at how you can diversify. I think diversification and diversifying your marketing is something that's often overlooked for business. So, you know, it's if you invest for 12 months, 24 months into an SEO campaign, you start seeing success, then it's not about then just riding that out and just continuing with that investment. Start then looking, at then how you can diversify your marketing and build out your acquisition channels, build out additional channels of whether it's referral or affiliate or paid, search, organic, content, email, you name it, and you can then diversify, which mitigates risk. And that's another, because nothing lasts forever. No campaign that you're going to create now will be in a different position in 6 months. It'll be in a different position in 12 months. So ensuring that you're then ahead of that and having other channels to be able to invest into allows you to then, make sure that your business is more secure and more future-proof.
I mean, for us, SEO is historically and continues to prove to be a phenomenal lead channel for us. But, you know, as strong as our SEO is, when there's an algorithm change, something as simple as that, if all our eggs are in that basket and all of a sudden we're pipped to the post by a bunch of other agencies who have done something more conducive to the change, now we're down the page and we've got no other channels, that's a huge problem for us. Having said that, the other thing that factors into this conversation as well is quality of leads. You know, it is one thing to just have the leads flowing in and just have the tap open, but the quality of leads, I think, is also so important. So if you're going to spend money on leads from a certain channel, but you're finding they're not converting or they're not your ideal client, I think it's very important to then have a look at your marketing plan and go, as you say, to diversify and then to test where the quality is coming in. Because I know for us personally, I would rather spend more for a quality lead than less for a substandard lead.
For sure.
That's potentially not going to convert or not be our ideal client or within our niche of expertise.
I was listening to somebody, I think it was this morning actually, talking about an 80-20 rule. It was like invest 80 into your kind of like your evergreen and invest 20 into testing.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of a clever concept. It was like you're investing 80% into what you know works, and then you're investing 20% of your time, resource, or money into things that should work and are, you know, backed with reasoning and data and however you want to, you know, however your process is and whatever you're doing. But at least you're testing new ideas, new concepts.
Money you can afford to lose if it weren't to work out.
Correct. But then you're getting the opportunity to find these little pockets of opportunity that potentially other companies may not have done within your space. It's actually somewhat indirectly what we've done for the agency. We've always kind of had that. We know 80% is this, and then we kind of test these little pockets of other opportunities, ideas, platforms, channels, and campaign structures, communication language, design, you name it. We rotate that on the 20% because then we get to find these other little like eggs of opportunity, which some work, some don't. And if they don't, you move on. And if they do, then you've got another channel of marketing and opportunity as well. So
start to invest in. Yeah, absolutely. So then what do you do then, Ben, if you're a startup or a new business, or you don't have much capital, and let's say you started your business 18 months ago, we've now hit an economic downturn, there's no cash in the bank. What can people do? What can businesses do in this type of environment if they can't afford a marketing agency?
Yeah, upskill and self-market is probably the biggest thing. Marketing agencies, good, credible, experienced marketing agencies aren't cheap. So we know that. That's just, call it what it is. Expertise is expensive.
You get what you pay for.
Your accountant's $400 an hour. So we know that literally, we know expertise is expensive. So generally it's going to be an expensive ordeal, especially if you're a small business and you don't have that capital to be able to invest. So upskill in certain areas of where you can, being if you are slower, you've got potential time to invest into your business and drive it yourself. So if you're a local business, maybe working in social, organic social, promoting yourself into local community boards, engaging with local communities, that sort of thing, it's free to do. It is just time intensive. Paying an agency to do it at $100, $200, $300 an hour isn't worthwhile when you've got 2 to 3 hours of spare time to be able to do that.
If business is quiet, you've got time.
Exactly. So that's where you invest into that. The other that we spoke about in a recent podcast as well is getting into a position of where you can write your own content and actually start writing content for your website, whether it's writing blogs or creating pages. If you are in a position of where you can do that, we recommend doing that as well. And just base it around the questions that you get asked for from your customers. So if a customer is always asking, how much is this going to cost for putting a pool in my back garden? How much is a pool going to cost? That's a common question that people research. So if you're in that industry, it might be worth writing an article of it costs generally X amount because of these factors, and write out the process and explain it. That will help your organic SEO. That will help your ranking. That will help drive awareness through to your business that you can then also send through an email, send through to social, you name it. And it's just going to snowball.
Yep. There's a level of professional development that, regardless of what your business is or what your services that you provide or product, in which case potentially, you can develop your own self as a almost an internal marketer.
Yeah.
We know that internal marketers are a jack of all trades. They're brilliant within a business, and we work with companies who have internal marketing teams. They're amazing.
Yeah.
But they're not subject matter experts necessarily. But if you've got a little bit of time but not necessarily the resource, you then can, as you say, you upskill, things like social media. There are so many podcasts you can listen to. This one's a great one, just by the way. Little plug for us.
You'll learn a lot.
You're already watching it. But there's so much you can learn. Even things like ChatGPT, as an industry, to plug in some questions like, what tools can I use to monitor this? The tools that we spend a lot of money on as an agency, there's free versions of them that potentially could give you just enough information to either be dangerous or to actually give it a go.
Well, AI will give you a lot of that by default anyway. So, and I'm not, a huge AI user, but you can leverage those tools if you are looking for, strategies on how to market your business and opportunities in that space. Prior to investing into expertise to do it for you.
Absolutely.
I think there's too many businesses out there. This is my opinion now, so I'm going to be careful with what I say here. I think there's too many businesses out there that feel that they could just pay to play. I can hire a CEO and walk away from my business. I can hire a marketing team and walk away from my business. I can hire an internal team and walk away from my business, and it's going to make me a quick buck. Business is hard. Business is time consuming and a lot of energy and effort. And when you're in a small business, I find that is equally, it's kind of like exponential because there's less resource. So invest in yourself, learn, upskill, get marketing underneath you, and get a good foundation of marketing underneath you, so that when you get to a stage of where you can invest in an agency, you also know what works and what's going to work for your business
and what you're talking about
and what to invest into as well.
Yep, I totally agree.
Which gives you a really good kind of baseline, so you know what's happening and you're not just off the just going out there and just spending $5,000 a month on marketing and you don't actually know what the guys are doing for you.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's a scary space.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when we started Digital Nomads, we didn't even have a website, and the first iteration of the website was nothing to write home about. So
I've seen it.
Don't look that up.
I have seen it.
But, you know, I got creative and we were doing Facebook Lives and just jumped on in, educated myself on PPC and all sorts of things that I'm not necessarily qualified in, but enough to know to be able to give value. And it really resonated with people. We had people coming in and throwing us their domains in order to do audits for themselves. And that's how we started. And networking is another powerful one. I think just getting out, a lot of local communities have these small business events. A lot of them are solo entrepreneurs, mompreneurs, one-man bands, startups, etc. And I know specifically on the Sunshine Coast, local business loves to support local business. Ever since COVID, we really became that way minded and that way inclined, support Australian business. You go to these events, people will love to support you. The Aussies love a battler. So just that costs no money, costs you an hour of your time and some eggs and bacon. So there's definitely a lot that you can do in an economic downturn, I feel, that maybe won't return financially to the level of, say, a strong SEO campaign or a strong Google Ads campaign.
For sure.
But you don't have to sit there idly just up crying because you don't have the money to hire an agency. There's be proactive. Like what you said before about, you know, your opinion. There's no one lazy is gonna, in my opinion, gonna create a successful business. Like you speak to any of the guys at the top, it's hard work. Because, as you say, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
Yeah, everyone would be successful.
Yeah, and there's ebbs and flows. And if you've got the resilience and to be able to ride out the tough times and just get creative, I think there's a lot that you can do with that and come out the other end and just go hell for leather.
I agree. I think that is a good spot to leave it on.
On hell for leather.
Yeah, I think so.
Go hell for leather, everyone.
That's great. We'll leave you with that.
Amazing.
Thanks for joining us. Catch ya.
Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for our next episode.